Michael Miley, drummer for the band's Rival Sons, out of Long Beach, California, Atlantic Records, 2022 time Grammy-nominated band, which is awesome. Best rock album, best rock performance. Supposedly touring with Boston band Aerosmith this summer, I guess if touring is still allowed this summer.
Totally.
Welcome.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's good. It's great to be here. I don't have anywhere to be right now, so other than with you, and so there's nowhere I'd rather be right now.
Yeah, awesome. Well, listen, I've seen you in multiple bands throughout the years. I've known you probably longer than I want to do the math to figure out how many years that's been and age either one of us.
Me too.
But you've always been a drummer. I bring different friends to see you all the time, and I know you always play with great musicians. But just know that every time I bring someone, they all talk about the drummer, how much of an awesome drummer Miley is. So you really are. You truly are a fantastic drummer. I know it's your entire life is drumming. I haven't known you to ever do anything else. I've seen you with a few LA bands. I've seen you as drummer for Carson Daly's late night NBC TV show, and now with Rival Sons, who tour religiously. Now, I imagine you guys are on scheduled downtime now, right?
We just canceled the tour, April-May tour last week. We made the announcement. So kind of a bummer to have to make that announcement. I have high hopes that maybe this is going to pass sooner than later, and that maybe we can reschedule it in the near future. As you mentioned, we have dates still on with the great Aerosmith, the great and powerful, legendary Aerosmith. We've opened for them numerous times. They're incredible. I mean, obviously, there's a reason why they're legends. I mean, Steven Tyler is I think he's an alien because he's beyond human. He's right. So amazing. His energy levels are insane, and just an amazing guy to be around. He came to our sound check and played all our instruments, and he's an amazing drummer, and we interacted with him. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that being in the schedule this summer, June, July.
Mostly Europe, right?
That's a European tour.
Yeah.
So I'm in California, out in Ventura County, outside of Los Angeles. I left Hollywood. I lived there for about 11 years, where I met you and back in the day.
Right.
And now I moved to the burbs with got a wife and kids.
Yeah.
So I'm doing suburban living out here.
I've done the same.
I love it. I'm 6 miles from the beach, and Ventura hasn't closed the beaches yet. So LA County just announced they're closing the beaches, but I go down there and go running, and I mean I'm social distanced by like hundreds of feet from people, you know. So I go running down there. Yeah.
So assuming the coronavirus continues and we're all homebound and social distancing, how do you deal with not being able to tour? First, on a personal level, I mean, you're going to just be bouncing off the walls, going bonkers.
Yeah, there's a little of that. My wife and I, after the kids went to bed, we were kind of doing our own thing on the computers at the same table, and we were getting into the weirdest conversations, and we're like, oh my gosh, we've been holed up in this house for too long, you know. Starting to feel a little bit cabin fever, you know. A little bit of the not so much on The Shining, you know, the movie The Shining, the great Stephen King. But I gotta say, my chops are getting insane, man. I've been playing drums like 3-4 hours a day.
Right, practicing, and you said running, and I know you're a biker, and I saw you doing some crazy yoga poses on Instagram, and I thought, I don't even know if those are real. Was that you?
I post a guy I follow. It's probably him, strength gymnastics guy or something, and he does all these weird handstands. It's not
with his,
me.
like, legs come down.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was me, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to tell anybody it's not.
It looked like you.
Yeah, I mean, I do some gymnastics strength training exercises through Coach Sommer in Denver. He was a U.S. national coach for 20 years, and so I'm doing these. I learned it through Tim Ferriss. I do a lot of podcasts in my free time. And Tim Ferriss is a guy I follow, Joe Rogan, of course.
Yeah.
And I get turned on to all these like great, sports gurus, and from sports psychology to sports nutrition to sports to calisthenics to squat university, squat technique, and keeping that body healthy. I'm a drummer, and this career I chose is super physical, man. And I tore muscles in both my shoulders like 6-7 years ago, and ever since then I've been in prehab instead of rehab. So yoga, resistance bands, CrossFit, Olympic weightlifting. Olympic weightlifting is all about technique, and there's a lot of cross pollination in from Olympic weightlifting to like how the drumstick works. And I don't know, I'm a mad scientist. I love teaching, I love learning, and I'm still taking lessons on the drums. And as we speak, right before we were talking, I was just doing some exercises.
Who teaches you? Who teaches a professional at your level?
I study formally with a guy called Dave Elich, and he's in LA, and he's been in a bunch of big bands, and he's an insane teacher. It's not like David Goggins drill sergeant style, but he lets you know that you suck when you suck.
Sometimes you need that.
It's to learn, you gotta fail. Like all the great motivators will say, you gotta fall, you gotta fail hundreds of times, and it's knowing your weakness. It's facing your dark side. It's knowing like that my left hand is worse than my right hand, and doing things and being honest with yourself.
Of course.
And it's really important. So as Rival Sons, my band, we're touring the world and getting compared to Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and like all these great legendary bands I grew up with, that we grew up loving. I'm like, you're gonna compare me to these guys? I better get my stuff together.
Right.
And so I started studying again, revamped my whole technique, and so
that's something positive to do with your downtime too. Now, but you're doing a lot of creative things and practicing and playing and writing. Had you ever thought of like the business side of becoming a drummer before you got into that, or was it purely just I like music, I like playing, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to worry about the other stuff?
No. That's why anytime I'm in an interview with drum magazines or music magazines and stuff, they'll say, hey, what advice do you give the kids?
Yeah.
And first thing, it's like, obviously learn your instrument, practice to a metronome, all that musical stuff. Learn the business. Learn how to return phone calls. Learn how to set aside time in your day to calendar your day, like Freedom Calendar, like learn contracts. Read Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman, famous book. There's like 13 editions now. I mean, he's updated it. YouTube University, like there's so much about the music business that we as like drummer, guitar player, bass player, keyboard, singer in your garage, getting your skills together. So many things we never were taught when we were young, and the music business is a business. Yeah. So if you're going into beverage sales, or you're going to open up a restaurant chain, or you know what I mean? If you're going to be an on-air personality, like there's a business to it, Right. You have to negotiate your contract. You got to get paid what you're worth, and you can't be afraid to ask what you're worth. And a lot of people are afraid to ask what they're worth, but it's like that incentive, that moxie will tell the negotiator, like, whoa, this guy's worth, more. This guy or gal is worth more than I thought,
Right.
Because they're assertive. I want assertive, winning-minded people on my team. I don't want loser think, on my team.
Right.
So
right.
The music business, obviously, I could go talk about that all day, but that would be a nutshell answer.
So in times like these, right? I mean, to me and other fans, Rival Sons is a band, right? We look at you as musicians. We're fans. We like it. We like the music. We like seeing you guys live. But for you and for Jay and Scott and Dave, it's a business. I mean, Rival Sons is a business. It's probably a company at this point, right?
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. But it's comprised of three corporations, soon to be four. We're starting our own merch company. So we'll be doing merch, and we're eventually going to be doing merch for other bands.
oh, cool.
And we're putting together a rock music festival now. It'll be sort of a traveling Woodstock, Lollapalooza, kind of vibe. Traveling cook. Yeah, I mean the rock and roll genre. I don't know if this is a good time to segue, but the rock and roll genre is Gene Simmons says rock is dead, and it kind of is in essence. And the industry doesn't give rock and roll the energy and the resources that it used to. So a band like Motley Crue, Poison, Iron Maiden, Metallica, when they were coming up in the 80s, they were getting millions of dollars in free Mercedes Benz when they signed their deals, and like that is not in there anymore. All 99% of major labels' budget is going to like a Ed Sheeran or a Rihanna or a Taylor Swift. And deservedly so, because their market share. You look at their spins on Spotify or Apple Music, and they got like 39 billion spins or whatever. And we have like 10 million. And so 10 million, we're like, yeah, 10 million spins. But it's nothing in compared to to what the big dogs are getting. So we're starting our own music festival, starting our own merch company. And so being business minded is we're thinking past music, but music is what brings everyone together. And then everyone wants to wear the Rival Sons shirt or the hoodie or go to the festival and see Greta Van Fleet, Rival Sons, Blues Pills, Sheepdogs. There's all these bands out there that are awesome, and maybe even some that are more alternative outside the rock genre, but bringing stuff together, bringing poets and folk and the way it used to be. You see those old posters in San Francisco, and it'd be like Grateful Dead, Santana, Neil Diamond, and it was like these killer, the set list, not set list, but what I'm talking about.
List all together. Yeah. Because they all had the same promoter, so he just put them all together.
Yeah.
So yes, you're creating your own businesses. You write, you record, you sell albums, you tour, you create these festivals. So on a business level, how does it affect Rival Sons if that stuff goes dark for 6 months as a business?
Oh, it definitely affects, because touring is probably 50 to 60% of our revenue stream, and then your radio spins will go up because there's some excitement around the tour. It's a catalyst, or however you want to look at it. So but then there's also times where a band will take 2 years off to make a record, and you don't hear from them really. You know what I mean? So I mean, right now we're in full hibernation mode. Obviously, it's an imposed, mandated hibernation, but we're on the phone every day, texting, FaceTiming, talking about ideas. Jay and Scott are the principal writers of Rival Sons, and they're swapping notes. We're doing deals with audio companies right now that are giving us some gear to use to help facilitate the writing process. Writing remotely, I mean, now in this day and age, I was already doing sessions on this is my electronic kit behind me, and I run it through a recording program. I have samples that I did with Dave Cobb in Nashville of 5 drum sets of mine. So I have like me playing my drums through the electronic thing, and somebody can send me an acoustic guitar part with a click track, and then I can play drums to it, send it back, and then they can put electric guitar and bass, sing on it, mix it, and then have a track done in one day.
So you don't need a studio anymore. You're isolated and you can do it from home.
So many people have been doing this. So many albums have been made this way in the last 10 years. So now, with the mandated quarantine, it's business as usual for our writing process. And of course we're antsy and we want to get out and tour, because the road is where you work out all these ideas, and you work out iron sharpening iron of the band. We're not like the Beatles. I don't know how they did it when they stopped touring. It was just albums, and
Yeah.
Beatles my favorite band. That's just a little disclaimer, but they stopped touring in 1965 because it was just so crazy back then.
Yeah.
But we cut our teeth, we skin our knees, we elbow each other, and it's like Jay says on stage, it's a knife fight.
Every day.
So it's like Rival Sons is we could play the same set list, say 14, 15 songs every night, and it's going to be a different night.
So if we're quarantined for a while and you can't tour, I guess you could go back, put another album out, right? I mean, Fell Roots has been out for a while, but not for too long. You're still touring on that. I don't know if you want to replace that already, but you could head back into the studio, or I guess you could start performing online. I see different bands and festivals are going that route too. Would you guys ever consider that?
Yeah. I mean, we're investigating that, the online, sort of virtual. There's virtual performances which are really cool, which sort of kind of faded away because I mean, not everybody's going to put these things on their face, but I think with the advent of these kind of, like, you can do an interview like what we're doing, or having chat rooms and having people pay a certain fee to come in and be able to like do what was it called, MKNA.
I know. So you're talking about unplugged. You could go that route and be intimate, or you could go sort of the large stage too, I guess, via online.
Yeah, I mean, we could go and get our crew. Like, our crew is out of work. I mean, the music business, surrounding it is the security guards, bartenders, door guys, the venue itself, the t-shirt companies, the printing companies, the audio companies, the audio technicians that are the local guys, the audio technicians that travel with us, the gear companies that, like, our in-ear monitors and drumsticks, drum heads, guitar strings. I mean, everybody is affected. It's like the waves are endless. So we could get our crew out and rent a stage and do a concert.
So Rival Sons as a company, do you employ all these other people besides the band members? I mean, you guys have to pay salaries in this downtime?
No, most of all of our employees are crew guys that are guys that have been with us since 2009. Our sound guy, tour manager's been with us since 2011. We have some lifers with us, and so it's really heart-wrenching to see these guys out of work. And so we can't afford to pay. We're not like at that level where some bands will pay their people off the road. I think like Paul McCartney pays millions of dollars to people that surround him when he's not touring. But we're not at that level. So right now there's an every man for himself sort of scenario.
Yeah. I mean, is there ever a situation where if this were to go on for a year, would you say, oh my God, I'm going to have to find another way to make money? I mean, what's the last job you ever had besides drumming?
Tile restoration, stripping and resealing travertine floors and Spanish tile, and regrouts in bathrooms. I can come regrout your tub.
Awesome. But you don't want to have to do that again. I mean, was there ever a point where, if this thing went on, even though the band is successful, is there a time like a year from now you'd be like, oh God, we need to do something to make money?
Yeah, I would probably try to up my teaching game again, I'm getting my situation set up here, and I have a studio right down the street where I can do online lessons. I'm already starting to do more of those. It wouldn't be the kind of income that I would make as like touring 6, 7, 8, 9 months out of the year with a semi-successful band. But dude, I'm a warrior, man. I'm a survivor. I'll go regrout some bathrooms, and I did drywall. I've done a painted exterior, interior. Bartended. I've waited tables at 5-star restaurants. I mean, so when living in Hollywood, man, you do whatever it takes to make a living,
You make it
and
work.
yeah,
You make it work. But it sounds like you guys have everything, for where you guys are, which is a fairly successful band at this point. You guys, you have a business. It's all kind of shored up. You know what's going to happen. Do you have a business plan? Does Rival Sons have a business plan in place?
yeah. I mean, it's rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's like thrown together on a napkin style, but it's some of the greatest businessmen have made deals on napkins. So, it's merch company, the touring festival that we want to start, our band, our recording, our publishing, getting stuff in TV and commercials and stuff
Yep.
like that. So it's a multivariant uh, thing, and we have a manager, like a proper manager,
Yeah.
works for Rock Nation is our management firm, Jay-Z's company. So we have big infrastructure. William Morris is our agent. I mean, we've built a pretty professional, beautiful team of people who believe in us. That's the important thing is we have people that believe in what we're doing.
Yeah, and you're in it for the long haul, and I mean, talent rises to the top, right? It's I've told you how many friends and colleagues talk about you as a drummer, but you're playing with three other guys who are awesome at their instruments in their own right.
Yeah, four guys. We have
On the road, yeah.
Yeah, keyboards, bass, guitar, and singer, and then me.
Yep.
Yeah, we got Todd Ugren on the keys, the
Yep.
5-foot beard,
Right.
who puts ZZ Top to shame. We call him ZZ Todd.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this. I would think that as everyone's holed up, creativity is going to start to flow. I think this is the era when that stuff happens. I went for a run the other day and I thought I could do a podcast. I could talk to you and other people and get, let's find out what all these artists are doing that can't do what they normally do, type of a deal. So I would think from your end too, you're just generating new ideas that you guys can do.
It's as much of a curse as it is. It's such a blessing, man. Because I mean, you came up with this idea. We're here now. This is manifested into reality, And so my brain has just been nonstop. So I'm actually pretty thankful. I live in a state of gratitude. I try every day to be thankful for just having like fingers and arms and legs that work, So we have to if this kind of hits the brake on everyone's life to bring you back to like what you're grateful for, that would be a good start. If I had any unsolicited advice to give anybody.
Yeah. How about that? How about any bands that are just getting together and trying to start now? Any advice? Besides read the contracts and all that, obviously.
I was going to make a joke. Social distancing. Make sure you're set up far enough away from each other.
Bands will get along better this way.
Yeah.
If Steven Tyler and Joe Perry have to tour isolated, it might go longer.
Yeah. They all have their little cubicles backstage where they don't hang out. It's really funny. But Steve will come hang out at our sound check for like an hour and not leave. But no, we love him. We love that he has us out there. But awesome. Advice for young people, again, learn the business. It's Wright hooks. So many bands are out there trying to make this like it's like there's an anti-hook, like shook me all night long. Like there's no big choruses right now where it's like an anthem. And AC/DC was like, I remember growing up, it was like a heavy metal, like we called it heavy metal, But you look at it now and it's a pop band, Those hooks are you could put keyboards in a drum, electronic drum loop or something, and Shook Me All Night Long is going to work for Taylor Swift just as much as it would work for AC/DC, It's a great song. And the production on all that old stuff, Bon Jovi and Def Leppard, I mean, Pyromania, all that stuff, those were hooks, huge choruses that were just blasting through the radio. And on, back in the day on the music videos and stuff, bands are like being too cool for school. Like I'm intentionally not writing a chorus. Write a chorus, write a hook, write a line like The Beatles and the Stones, when they came out, those were all hooks, you know.
All
So
those
that's what I
bands,
would say.
all those bands you mentioned are still relevant to this day
Yep.
because of it.
Yep. And keep your publishing. Like, write your songs, write those hooks I'm talking about, and own them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome, Miley. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having
Rival
me.
Sons. Thanks you.
Thanks to everybody who's a fan, and thank you to you who are future fans. So
stay safe and stay healthy, and hopefully we see you with Aerosmith this summer.
Okay, sounds good. You too. You too. Maybe we can do this soon, or I can hook you up with one of the other Rival Sons.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
You see that stranger